The history of our story began long ago. Our story begins billions of years ago, in a world where life was nothing more than simple atoms floating in a vast, unformed world. Over time, these atoms combined to form the building blocks of life, eventually giving rise to the first living organisms. Around 3 billion years ago, the Earth was a petri dish of primitive life. Tiny microorganisms began to evolve, setting the stage for everything that would follow. Fast forward to around 6 million years ago, when the first hominoids emerged. These early ancestors of humans were part of a broader family of primates, marking a significant point in evolutionary history. These creatures were not yet humans, but they would lay the foundation for the rise of humanity. They had larger brains and better tool-making abilities than earlier creatures, adapting more effectively to their environments. Around 2.5 million years ago, early hominins like Australopithecus started walking upright. This change gave them better mobility and allowed them to use tools more effectively. Over time, these early ancestors would evolve, leading to the species Homo habilis, considered one of the first true humans due to their use of tools. Around 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus emerged as the first human species to venture out of Africa, colonizing other parts of the world. This was a monumental shift, as Homo erectus began adapting to various climates and landscapes, marking the first steps toward global human expansion. With larger brains and more advanced tools, Homo erectus began to exhibit behaviors and innovations that would change the course of history forever. Fast forward to around 400,000 years ago, and we encounter the Neanderthals. These human ancestors were adapted to the cold environments of Europe and Western Asia. Neanderthals were robust, with stocky bodies, large facial features, and thick body hair that helped them survive harsh climates. They created complex tools, lived in small communities, and even buried their dead, a practice that suggested a level of social complexity and belief in the afterlife. Though they shared the earth with Homo sapiens for thousands of years, the Neanderthals eventually went extinct around 40,000 years ago. Scientists believe this may have been due to competition with Homo sapiens, climate change, or even interbreeding, as traces of Neanderthal DNA have been found in modern human genomes. Around 300,000 years ago, the first Homo sapiens appeared in Africa. These early humans were anatomically similar to us, but had smaller social groups and limited technological advancements. However, over the next tens of thousands of years, Homo sapiens began to spread across the globe, eventually replacing other human species like the Neanderthals. What set Homo sapiens apart was not just their ability to survive but their capacity for creating complex tools, developing language, and forming structured societies. With these advantages, Homo sapiens began to dominate the planet. The next major milestone in human history was the agricultural revolution. Around 10,000 years ago, humans transitioned from a nomadic lifestyle of hunting and gathering to settled farming communities. This shift allowed for the rise of cities, trade, and specialized labor. The creation of permanent settlements led to the development of new technologies, writing systems, and the first forms of organized government. This period also saw the rise of the first civilizations. In the Fertile Crescent, the Sumerians built the first cities in Mesopotamia, developing early forms of writing and mathematics. Ancient Egypt, with its pharaohs and monumental pyramids, became a center of culture and power. In the Indus Valley, cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro showcased advanced urban planning and trade networks. As the centuries passed, powerful empires began to emerge. The Roman Empire expanded across Europe, bringing with it advancements in engineering, law, and governance. Similarly, the Persian Empire united much of the Middle East and Asia, laying the groundwork for future empires like the Mongol Empire and the Ottoman Empire. In China, the Qin dynasty established the foundations of imperial rule, and the Han dynasty expanded China's borders, creating one of the longest-lasting civilizations in history. The Maurya Empire and the Gupta Empire in India made significant strides in science, mathematics, and philosophy. After the fall of the Roman Empire in the West, Europe entered the Middle Ages, a period marked by feudalism, the spread of Christianity, and the construction of castles and cathedrals. Despite the challenges, this period also saw advancements in agriculture, trade, and the arts. The Renaissance, which began in the 14th century in Italy, ushered in a new age of learning and discovery. This period saw the rise of influential figures like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Galileo, who revolutionized art, science, and philosophy. The Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries transformed the world once again. With the advent of steam engines, factories, and mass production, humanity entered a new era of technological advancement. This period also marked the rise of capitalism, urbanization, and the expansion of global trade networks. Cities grew rapidly as people moved from rural areas to work in factories. Innovations in transportation, like the steam train and the steamship, allowed for faster travel and trade. The Industrial Revolution laid the foundation for the modern world, creating the economic and social structures that define much of today's society. The 20th century was a time of unprecedented change. The world wars reshaped nations, while the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union led to advances in technology and space exploration. The rise of democracy, civil rights movements, and the Internet transformed how people interacted, learned, and connected with one another. Today, humanity is faced with new challenges: climate change, global health crises, and technological advancements that raise ethical questions. As we continue to explore space and push the boundaries of artificial intelligence, the story of humanity is far from over. Okay, so now I will told you why and how World War I started and what happened. World War I, often called the Great War, was one of the most catastrophic conflicts in human history, fundamentally altering the political and social fabric of the world. It began in 1914 and lasted until 1918, involving many nations across Europe and beyond. Its origins lie in a complex web of factors that had been building for decades, including militarism, alliances, imperial rivalries, and nationalism. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo by Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist, acted as the immediate spark. Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia, which, when partially rejected, led to the declaration of war. This seemingly localized conflict escalated quickly due to a network of alliances. Russia mobilized to support Serbia, prompting Germany to declare war on Russia and its ally, France. Germany's invasion of neutral Belgium brought Britain into the war, and soon, most of Europe was engulfed in conflict. On the Western Front, trench warfare dominated, with soldiers enduring horrific conditions in dugouts that stretched across France and Belgium. Battles like Verdun and the Somme resulted in millions of casualties but little territorial gain. Meanwhile, the Eastern Front saw vast, mobile battles between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Russia. The war also extended globally, involving colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Technological advancements such as machine guns, tanks, airplanes, and chemical weapons made the war extraordinarily deadly. Civilians also suffered immensely from blockades, starvation, and bombings. In 1917, two major events shifted the course of the war. The United States joined on the side of the Allies after repeated provocations by Germany, and Russia withdrew following the Bolshevik Revolution. By 1918, Germany and its allies were exhausted, facing internal revolutions and dwindling resources. The Allies launched a final offensive, forcing Germany to seek an armistice, which was signed on November 11, 1918. The war left around 16 million dead and millions more wounded. The aftermath was equally significant. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, blamed Germany for the war, imposing harsh reparations and territorial losses. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires were dismantled, leading to the creation of new nations. While the war was intended to be the war to end all wars, its unresolved tensions and punitive peace terms set the stage for World War II 2 decades later. Okay peoples, hope so you enjoy the video. Goodbye for now, meet you at the next video with latest topic. Subscribe if you like.